Welcome back to Stories by the Word. In the beginning, in the Garden of Eden, peace filled every corner. Man and woman walked without shame, their world a perfect harmony. The tree of life stood tall in the midst of the garden, a symbol of eternal connection. And beside it, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, a testament to choice. All was whole. All was good. But into that profound stillness, a voice would soon speak, and with its whisper, everything would change. Now the serpent was more cunning, more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. It approached the woman, its words smooth and questioning. Yea, hath God said, thou shalt not eat of every tree of the garden? The question hung in the air. A seed of doubt, planted in the soil of perfect trust. The woman Eve answered, truthfully, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it lest you die. Her response was clear, a restatement of the one boundary they had been given. But the serpent was ready. It pressed its advantage, twisting the truth into a tempting lie. You will not surely die, it hissed, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, then your eyes will be opened, and you will be as gods, knowing good and evil. It was a promise of power, of secret knowledge, a direct challenge to the Creator's goodness. The serpent suggested that God was not protecting them, but holding them back. And the woman looked. She saw that the tree was good for food, a delight to the eyes. And more than that, it was a tree desired to make one wise. The temptation was now threefold appealing to her physical desires, her aesthetic sense, and her ambition for knowledge. In that moment, the serpent's lie seemed more compelling than God's command. So she took of the fruit and ate. The choice was made, but it did not stop with her. She gave the fruit to her husband, Adam, who was with her, and he also ate. And in an instant, their world shattered. The eyes of them both were opened, but it was not godlike wisdom they found. It was shame. They knew that they were naked. The innocence that had clothed them vanished. In a frantic attempt to cover their newfound vulnerability, they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. Then, they heard a sound that once brought comfort, but now brought terror. They heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees. The intimate fellowship they once shared was broken by fear. The Lord God called out to Adam, not in anger, but with a question that echoed through the now silent garden. Where are you? It wasn't a question of location, but of relationship. Where have you gone? Adam's voice, now filled with fear, answered from the shadows. I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And God responded, probing the heart of the matter. Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat? The moment for confession, for responsibility, had come, but instead the blame began. Adam pointed to his wife, and indirectly back to God himself. The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. The unity between them was fractured. Then the Lord God turned to the woman. What is this that you have done? Her answer followed the same pattern. The serpent deceived me, and I did eat. Responsibility was passed down the line, from man to woman, from woman to the serpent. No one stood to own their choice, and so the consequences followed. The Lord God spoke judgment, a series of pronouncements that would forever alter the course of creation. To the serpent, he declared a curse, foretelling an eternal struggle between its offspring and the offspring of the woman. To the woman, he declared pain and sorrow, a difficulty in the very act of bringing forth life. To the man, he declared a life of toil and sweat. The ground itself was cursed because of his choice. He would work it for food, struggling against thorns and thistles until his life's end. For dust you are, God said, and to dust you shall return. The sentence of mortality was passed. Yet, even in this moment of judgment, there was a glimmer of hope. Adam named his wife Eve, which means mother of all living, an act of faith that life would continue despite the sentence of death. And in a profound act of grace, the Lord God did not leave them in their flimsy fig leaves. He made them coats of skins and clothed them. He covered their shame with a sacrifice to first of its kind. But the garden could no longer be their home. The Lord God sent them forth from Eden to till the ground from which they were taken. The consequence of their choice was separation. He drove out the man, and at the east of the Garden of Eden, he placed cherubim, angelic guardians, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life. Paradise was closed, and humanity stepped into a new world, one marked by choice, consequence, and the quiet, unfolding promise of redemption. Genesis chapter 3 marks the fall. The peace of Eden was broken. Innocence was lost, and the long, beautiful, and often painful story of humanity began just outside the garden walls. But the story does not end here. In fact, it is just beginning. Next time, we explore Genesis chapter 4. If you are walking this journey with us, from Genesis to Revelation, please share this video, hibi, like, and subscribe for more stories by the word. Join us as we continue this learning route, one chapter at a time. Thank you for watching.